It's been 3 years, and the online arguments about the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting seem to be, well, about the same as before. No one has apparently learned anything. I see even Kyle supporters sometimes fall for rhetorical devices that don't tell the true story. I think it's time to set the record straight. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Let me start by saying that it is not true that the jury found Kyle innocent. Oh no, I can't believe that Johnny Walker Dread is saying that, but it's true. The jury did not find Kyle innocent. Rather, the jury found him not guilty. However, Kyle was presumed innocent in the eyes of the law, at least, at the start and throughout the trial, and this presumption of innocence was to remain in effect until the jury found him guilty. But the jury found him not guilty, so this presumption of innocence in the eyes of the law remains to this day. As such, as far as the legal system is concerned, Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent. Because he cannot be retried for the same alleged crime, his innocence in the eyes of the law is permanent. It is not true that the jury found that Kyle acted in self-defense. Wait, Johnny Walker Dread has gone off the deep end here. Oh my God, I can't believe he's saying such a thing. Kyle claimed self-defense, and the state was unable to disprove that claim. The burden of proof was on the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Kyle did not act in self-defense. If the burden of proof had fallen on Kyle, then the claim that the jury had decided that Kyle had acted in self-defense would make sense, but that's not what happened. So far, what I've talked about was what the legal system says, but what about the court of public opinion? Well, despite what many of Kyle's supporters think, people are entitled to feel that the jury got it wrong. In other words, they have a right to hold any opinion they want on whether Kyle is guilty. So, can someone claim that they believe Kyle is a murderer? Yes. Can someone claim that Kyle is in fact a murderer? No. Murder is a legal term. It requires an unlawful killing. However, Kyle was acquitted. Therefore, it is not a fact that he is a murderer. Can someone claim that Kyle is a murderer? Well, that's kind of a gray area. Are they stating an opinion or are they stating a fact? In many cases, it's hard to tell. I believe that Kyle's lawsuits against those that called him a murderer have little merit. You're not going to see Whoopi Goldberg or LeBron James forking over huge amounts of cash as settlements. They will fight Kyle's lawsuits, assuming he actually follows through with his threats, tooth and nail, and will win. You have a right to believe Kyle got away with murder just as much as you have a right to believe that OJ got away with murder. You have a right to that opinion, and you have a right to express that opinion. Does Kyle stand a better chance against those that squelched his appeals to raise money, like Facebook? Well, maybe. Now, having said all that, for the court of public opinion to have any merit, it must have some reasonable amount of evidence that the accused is guilty. It is nonsensical to accuse a stranger of serious crimes without having some evidence justifying that claim. Sure, you can think the person is guilty all you want, but without evidence, your claim is unworthy of serious consideration. It's laughable. What evidence points to Kyle's guilt? At the moment, there really isn't much. If it can be shown that Kyle pointed his rifle at Joshua Ziminski unprovoked, then the claim that Jojo Rosenbaum attacked Kyle out of defense of others would have at least some merit. That claim can be countered rather easily, though. I mean, why would Ziminski need an unarmed Jojo to defend him? It was Joshua that was carrying the gun. But at least it would be an argument. The notion that Kyle spent the night provoking people is easily disproven, at least given all that we know what happened. I have a video titled The Kyle Rittenhouse Challenge, which I will link in the description below for anyone who believes otherwise to take. So far, no one has successfully met the challenge. And unless new evidence comes out that has somehow gotten by everyone, no one will. What about the other shootings? Until one can show that Kyle was guilty of the murder of Jojo Rosenbaum, he was being chased, and no matter the motive of those chasing him, his claim of self-defense would be iron tight. I must emphasize that Kyle's guilt or innocence does not rest on the motives of Huber and Grosskreutz. Perhaps they thought they were doing the right thing. With Huber, we will never know. Gage, on the other hand, has made that exact claim. Completely irrelevant, however, to Kyle's guilt or innocence. So as it stands, there is really nothing that the anti-Kyles can point to that shows Kyle's guilt. All of the arguments I have seen so far rest on ignorance of the facts, a misunderstanding of the law, or wild, unproven assumptions about Kyle's motives. So to all of you still clinging to your belief that Kyle is a murderer, I must ask, why is it so important to you that Kyle be guilty, despite all evidence to the contrary? What does that do for you? Is preserving your political worldview so important to you that you would send a kid to a lifetime of incarceration just so that you can win silly online debates? Like my video, subscribe to my channel.